This is the Coming Home Podcast with John Allen. And there we go. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Comin Home Podcast with John Allen. I am John Allen. I want to thank everybody who's watching me or listening to me for being here. Thank you for joining in. In the description of this episode, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on a major podcast platform, you will see 3 different links that you can click on if you would like to support my work here at the Comin Home Podcast with John Allen. And that is the whole name of this podcast. It is the Comin Home Podcast with John Allen. There, got that out of the way. Hello, Merete Vold. Hi.
Hello. Hi. Nice to see you.
nice to
talk to you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Nice to speak with you as well. You are a casting agent. You are a coach. And you approach both of those tasks, both of those worlds, in ways that are slightly unconventional. And that's attractive. That's interesting.
Well, it's sort of, the whole point of me working is me being good at what I'm doing. And me working is mainly people. I find I work more with people, really, than I work with movie industry. I have to help people being good, being comfortable, being more of themselves. If you hold things back, you don't really work that well in whatever you do. So when I do casting, I have a certain amount of time with each person, and my job is to quickly get them to be comfortable and to know that we're a team and we will do this together, and to make sure that they know that I'm fully responsible in the room. I think that's the important thing. I'm responsible. I'm going to take us through this. Yeah. You know your lines. You have your education or not. You have your talent. If you're in the room, you are there for a purpose. I mean, you're there. You've been invited, so you're good enough. And it's just for us together to work to get you to get the character and you to mingle, to emerge, because the character is written, it's on paper,
yeah,
and it's in someone's mind, and that's fine. It's perfect. I love reading books, but you have to change it around just a little bit when you are gonna turn those pages into a movie. So I will have a few people in my room, one at a time, doing that I feel could carry the character, because you're there and the character needs to light you up, but you need to use you to tell the story of the character. And that's also psychology, energy, personality, your private personal story that will carry that character through into the screen, the theater.
Yeah, the psychology of it all interests me greatly. You said you tell your clients that they're already good enough because they are there in that room for that role. I can only imagine how, especially for a new actor, the confidence issue, the self-analysis that they must be going through. And when it is obvious that they're good enough, and yet I can imagine them still doubting or at least having a certain level of anxiety about their worthiness, about their upcoming performance, about their capabilities. So how do you address that directly? Because, see, that's a life thing. That's not just and again, this is what makes me interested in your work, because this is a life thing. It's not just a film. It's not just a Hollywood or an Oslo movie making thing. It's a life thing.
That's why I think it felt very natural for me to take a coaching degree, to learn, to study. It's an ongoing process. I do this. I study every morning.
Because you have to coach yourself in order to be properly armed to coach others. You've got to coach yourself, right?
Absolutely. And you have to listen to so many people how they I wouldn't say attack it. It's not the right word, but you know how you um, different cultures, different personalities, different experiences. It all is inspiring to listen to,
Yeah.
and it's inspiring to see how they solve it. Psychologists and psychologists, sorry, how do you
Psychologists,
say
yeah.
that? Yeah, and health workers, whoever is interested in the human body, human mind, uh, because this is it's not just the character; it's how you live your life, and you have to constantly upgrade yourself to
Yes.
understand and to, you know, if I'm not inspired, how can I help you? How can I guide you?
Right.
If I don't, I need to up my level constantly as a human being. Unless you're here for the money, then you have to go to content business school and just get your network and whatever. It's it's I do. I'm moving away from the question. I have a feeling now, but it's when you come into the room. I think I've done a lot of children's movies, and you know they don't have. They live maybe 12 years, and they're
Yeah.
going to do a tough movie, a tough character that goes through things that they've never gone through, and you can't say imagine yourself and the catastrophe.
Well, their whole life is one big thread of imagination, isn't it?
Yeah, but they have an experience of a, let's say, 10 or 12-year-old, and they never went to acting school,
Right. Right.
but they do have the feeling of they have it's it's always to find your emotional vulnerability, your emotional happiness, joy, strength, and it looks different from each person.
Yeah.
And it's just to, so the character here is going to die from cancer. So let's picture you. You can't do that to a child, but you can find the vulnerability of losing everything. What do you love? What's precious for you? What's your treasure in life? How do you let it all go, kind of? How will you say goodbye? Have you lost a friend? Have you, you know, you use these answers in questions, and you try to find on a scale from 1 to 10, how can I match this pain with the pain that you have already? Do you know what I mean?
I do, and I wonder if that could be why. I mean, we all hear the story. We've seen the stories as we've grown up of these child actors who, you know, they may be the same age as you and I now, but at one time they were child actors, and time after time we see they have had such a traumatic childhood, young adulthood, and adulthood. You know, addiction, different kind of personality disorders, and all kinds of scandals. And I wonder if it's because as a highly profiled child actor, they have to dig into a part of their psyche that isn't ready to be dug into. You know, everybody experiences trauma in certain ways throughout their childhood to one level or another. But maybe that acting process, because as you say, a child or any actor really has to identify personally with that fictional role that they're going to play. You know, so like Linda Blair, for example, she was the actress in The Exorcist, and I think she was 12 years old when when they were filming that terrible, horribly scary film. And you know, she played a child who was possessed by demons, and I have to wonder, how did she identify with that as a 12-year-old child? So it's just always something I've wondered about. Why is it so common that child actors have this terrible experience with dealing with trauma, which leads to addiction and other types of things?
I do think what I feel.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah. What I feel when I work with them in the process, because I kind of a training too, because we do a lot of callbacks and a lot of different. You sort of responsible how you hold them the space you hold them in. So if they have to, and you're not swimming in the disaster or the emotional traumas or anything, but you hold it, something they can identify, that they can, it's, you have to create an environment that's safe to let go, but that's also for adults.
Right.
And then you have to carry them up again, very consciously. It's a conscious thing you have to do. I think also with adults, if you ask them to do whatever, you're responsible for the space, the energy to hold them there. It's safe, and to bring them back up again. And for children, I think it's so important how you hold the environment afterwards. If you know what I mean, when you do creativity, any sorts, or sports,
Yeah.
you after whatever soccer game or performance or whatever, as a child you need help, I think, to carry it back to what's everyday life.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're not conscious about how you slowly place them back again, they have now a tremendous the experience they have, for example, after shooting a movie is tremendous.
Yeah.
And whoever is around them, you really need to know who are the people around them after this. I think that's where things can go a
Do,
little bit.
do you think most or what is your experience with parents of child actors as far as the parents' awareness of, I mean, being a child actor can be a great experience, but again, as we
Yeah,
said, you're kind of walking that
if you
fine
don't
line
know,
of different
yeah,
psychological concepts and aspects of the
yeah,
psyche of a child.
yeah,
What's
yeah.
your experience with parents being aware of that fine line and that volatility of the
It's
situation?
usually I talk with the parents if we're going to do an audition. That is, I tell the parents we need to do this scene to see that when they're on the set they can do it. And I talk with the parents. I talk with the child, and then they, let's say they have a week to just feel fine about that, and then you do the audition, and then I usually talk to the parents afterwards. And other times, it's, I think it, to answer your question, it's very individual
Right. Okay.
how parents are, how families are, and um,
And
it's
I guess it
it,
depends on the role the child is going to play as well.
absolutely not every all of them are tough topics, but
Yeah, sometimes it's just fun.
I'm just,
Sometimes it's children's
yes,
TV and
yeah,
it's fun and games,
yeah.
and yeah, no big deal. Yeah.
And on set, it's important to make a healthy group. Everything, it's just who are the adult responsible creating this environment, and is it healthy?
Yeah.
And if you have a healthy environment, I mean, that can be really, you can really grow from things like this. You children that really move into confidence and finding something that they can communicate through that they
Yeah.
didn't at school, for example.
Yeah.
And but I think it's not just specifically here. I think it is because that's where I feel coaching actors fall apart. It's really the same thing coaching people in their own life. It's what kind of environment do you have around you? How do you
Right.
react to the environment? What people do you have there? Where's your line? How do you? An actor can also go in and this is not good at work environment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as the sort of the team behind, you're responsible to create a healthy work environment. And I can only do make sure that my room is as healthy as possible,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
meet the person there. I'm here, you're there. I don't care if you haven't worked for 15 years, or if you the newspaper call you a star. I don't care. Right now, everything is neutral. This is a workspace, and we have the character. We will talk about how that character we feel that character should be if
Yeah.
it or be presented, and then how do we connect you as a person with that character. And yeah.
So
And it's
a casting coach, a casting agent, there's quite the psychological aspect, quite the counseling and coaching aspect to it. Now, that coaching background that you have, did you start coaching outside of the acting world, or
yeah. I
okay?
didn't think I was. I didn't think I was going to coach actors.
So
And who would come to me and be coached when I'm auditioning them?
so
And
why
then,
why why be a coach, and what led you to the acting world?
as a casting director or coach,
Both,
leading into
both,
the acting work.
both. Yeah.
Oh, casting. I was because I used to be a dancer, and I was really good at being injured. And I thought I would
Good at
be.
being injured. I love it.
I actually, I started to work out in a casting agency. Get some money because I was preparing for a education in kinesiology, I think you call it.
Kinesiology. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and I needed money to pay for that, and because I know, I know how you hurt your body, and I never got to take my exam because I was always busy working there, and I
Oh,
actually
okay.
loved it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, I think it's me, my after a few years I started up for myself, and I never really planned. I had no idea I was going to stay this long and work. It was just a few months
You thought it
or
was
into a
just a
year,
stepping
and
stone to move on to something
yes,
else.
just I had no idea. Yeah, it just was just something to do 1 year to get my exam, and then
Yeah.
here I am.
So
And
what made you stick with it?
I don't know. I just I kept working and I kept getting work, and just I think to go from there to why I do coaching, I love to see people get it. I love to see people
Isn't that a
get
beautiful thing?
be good, because it's so easy to be good if you are in the right environment. And
Yes.
I think as a dancer, to see how easy it is to be just take the life out of you
Yeah.
because the environment are so unsupporting or uncomfortable, or this it took me so many years to see people are actively really trying to get people off the competition.
Well, yeah, and
You know
I was
the
going to say
you know what I mean?
in the dancing world, isn't there a lot of competition,
A lot of competition.
especially between the women? From what I've understood, they can be ruthless.
Women are
There
not
was
very nice.
there was a
They,
documentary. There was a documentary. I cannot remember the name of the documentary, but there was a documentary on Netflix a few years back about American professional cheerleaders for American football teams when they go for the tryouts, and then they're trying to get hired as cheerleaders, and what they do to actively sabotage each other, and
yes,
it
yeah,
was ruthless. So that
yes, it is.
negativity that one has to fight through in
Yeah,
order to end up on the top, or to make the final cut, is it's ruthless. And I've heard that
yeah.
same thing is in that it can
And
be in the acting world at acting schools. It can be
oh,
in dance
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
dance organizations and things like that as well. Just a ruthless desire to drag the other person down so that another person can end up on the top.
It sort of seems it's legitimate to, well, use all the tricks in the book just to get ahead. But I think it's not. I took it tremendously personally for a lot of years until I understood it's everywhere.
Yeah,
This is how the human species has decided to behave. And then you see, well, okay, you can stand for that. I'm not going to stand for that.
yeah.
I'm going to make my platform. This is, and I think that is everything to me. And that is, who are you? Who do you want to be? Make up your choice, and you stand there. Whatever people can do, whatever they want around you. Don't pay attention. Don't figure out what they're saying or doing or whatever.
Yeah.
Just stand there. This is where I stand. This is how I want my environment to be. This is how I allow what I allow into my life. And the rest, do party, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Just, I'm not going to have you in my platform.
I,
Yeah.
no, I was going to say,
You need to know your ethics.
I love seeing people stand on solid ethical ground, with a heart of compassion, but at the same time, they're focused on their goal, and they start marching forward on that path to reaching that goal, but they're not shitting on other people along the way. They're able to pull other people up. They're able to motivate and inspire other people while they're still struggling. That's the kind of people that I'm attracted to. And I saw elements of that in some of the things that you post on your Instagram that give me the image of you being a person who is still on a journey, still trying to reach their fullest potential, even though you're in the middle of something you love, even though you're still in a environment of success, you're still moving along a path to make things better for yourself, which will then put you in a position to make things better for others in your role as a coach.
I think this one coach I listen to once in a while, his take on life and his take on his journey. And he says he's always a few months ahead of his client.
Oh.
I think that's you sort of you teach what you've gone through.
Well,
you
yeah,
teach what you've experienced. You teach what you've felt. You for me, if it's a health worker or if it's a coach or whatever, I feel it immediately if you're teaching me from a book or if you have your education, of course, and then your life and your take on life, your experience.
There's a difference.
And how you, absolutely, and how you hold yourself in life. And then we have a conversation, and then it can move me, but it can't move me if you just intellectually.
Exactly. And just to expand on something that you touched on, I am a firm believer that anyone can be a teacher, as long as they are a step or two ahead of those who are learning something from them. A lot of people, they're their own worst critic. I'm my own worst critic, and I wish I wasn't, because I think that, as ambitious as I am, I'm a go-getter. I'm out there. I'm trying to do things and this, that, and the other. But I still have to acknowledge the fact that from time to time I'm holding my own self back because I feel that sense of I'm not quite ready, I need to work a little bit more before I step into that. But that idea of anyone being a potential leader or a potential coach or teacher, it's always there for everyone. Constantly, because there is always someone out there who can learn something from your experience. You're just a step or two further down the road. Doesn't mean you're a step or two better than anyone. You're just a little bit further down the road, and you have some experience that can be shared with others. And therein lies the potential, I think, for a lot of people to do the kind of work that you're doing, or to do, internet-based work. Maybe put some sort of class or course out digitally on the internet and things like that, and share your experience. Your experience is always worth something to somebody. Always.
I mean, we're in this together. Just look at this last year. We're so in this together.
Yeah.
And what I have come to understand is that this has really sharpened us in a way.
I think so.
Sharpened us in a way of what's really, of course, important, and what do I want to come back to, and what do I want to live my life. And also, this has been a year of Zoom meetings and podcasts and teaching through whatever on the internet, and people are forming groups. And I have a couple I'm kind of looking at and I'm thinking, so this is how community starts. This is how we find and grow together and move forward together, because this is this is mother telling us stop screwing with me because I can so throw you off this planet.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, so, okay, so got it. So how are we going to move forward? And yeah, I think
How have you had to adjust your methods over this past year? What changed for you in the way in which you approach your work?
there was just everything. I have a very COVID friendly life. I have not been, I couldn't go to the Philharmonic, which I love, and I have not taken any dance classes. And my work has been mostly self tapes. But what I love about it is that people have had time to really have fun. So when I receive self tapes for, oh, I'm going to turn off my mail. I hope I'm not quitting you now.
What happened?
No, it's just my email is going to ding,
Oh
so
no, that's
I
okay.
just,
That's part of the
yeah.
podcast. At any minute,
Well,
I expect one of my kids to walk in my office door and ask me what's for breakfast, and that if they do,
yeah,
that's
right.
part of the podcast. So
Yeah, right. That's perfect. I love that. No, it's to see the creativity and to see that people are getting confident and having fun, and you know what, you never know what gets born from this. People are done commercial, and I see people play the different parts in the commercial and
yeah,
their take on it, and I love receiving it. People, so it's been, I when I went back and did one-to-one auditioning, I loved it because I love teaching, and but that's really the only difference. And I do Skype coaching now. I didn't do that.
oh, okay.
I haven't. I'm really slow on the internet, and so
But you're
I
using it.
had
But
a,
you're using it to further your work. You're using it to keep
which I
yourself
love,
moving. Yeah,
because what I do get to do now is to reach whoever is further up north and not able to come to my office and get coaching. And
yeah,
I love to reach all these people that are not within the circle of the city.
yeah. Because
Uh,
I get the
we
feeling
need
that
those.
the acting world in Norway is very central to Oslo.
It
If
is.
you're not in Östland, if you're not in the Oslo area,
Yeah,
you gotta literally walk a little further to get your foot in the door.
very
It
much.
seems
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
quite the exclusive and closed off environment. Am I right?
Yes, it is. And I don't know. It's
Is it a healthy
you,
environment? It seems kind of elitist, or yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble with anybody. No, but I do. I have gotten.
we really need the whole country, and we really need people from outside this box that we've created. Anything else is a bit unhealthy, isn't it?
Because I'll tell you, I've lived. I live in Drammen now, but for most of my time in Norway, I was living up north in Finnmark and Nordtroms. My wife and I, we have a place up in Finnmark, and up there, that's where the most the best storytellers, the best. And when they tell these stories, they're so animated, and I see that actor, I see that storyteller in them, but that actor does not seem to be very present in the
No.
television or film world here in Norway. And it just kind of reinforces my impression that it's this very closed off, it's a walled off environment that's very central to Oslo.
Yeah, it is, and I think instead of knocking on doors trying to get in, I think what is necessary is that most other workplaces does. It just start to make a new platform that can't be ignored because it's going to
Interesting.
be more healthy.
A new
And
platform that can't be ignored. Yes.
yeah, do you know, because if enough people that are outside the door waiting for it to please open for me, I will bend over backwards and do anything. And by thinking that, you're lost.
Yeah.
because you are leaving yourself.
Yeah.
You're leaving the fingerprint that would be an asset for the environment. So as soon as you do that, the closed door has won that you lost. So that's just my opinion, because I so want people to keep who they are
Yeah.
and not change for anything. Keep their signature. It's like I say a lot, to make them see why did I get the job, and
I
then when people you do callbacks, and you're sort of, there's less and less actors left, and what was it, why didn't I get the job, and it's about, um think of the Philharmonic. So there's all
yeah.
these violins that
Yeah.
needs audition, and they are, I mean, they're perfect. But there's one, and that's a personality thing in the end. How your melody, the tone comes through you,
Yeah.
which to the rest of the ensemble, oh, that's perfect. We put
Yeah.
it right in there, and that does the shift, or the whatever that is. This is what we're looking for, and that's the
Right.
same. You're not going to change your personality. You're not going to change yourself for anything. You're going to be more of who you are. So it's even more clear to see. When we see her or him doing whatever,
Yeah.
you really, that's going to really lift or move. And if you are not casted, or you get the job, or whatever line of work you do, well, maybe you wouldn't want to be there anyway. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're going to
Sometimes
chop off, arm and legs to fit in, it's not worth it. You're building a life that is not sustainable.
and I have to laugh as we talk about being made for a role or not, because I have to go back to how you and I first had contact, which I still laugh about this. I have found a reason to tell this story to one person or another almost every day since this happened. But it's funny. So I want to share this with the people who are watching and listening. There was a casting call that went out. They were looking for, and I think it was specifically an American, or someone who could speak an American accent, English, for a film role. And the part was for a villain. And
Such a murder.
yeah, and so and so what do? I'm like, hey, that might be kind of fun. So I go in and I write my little email, and in the casting call it said, supply a photograph of yourself. So what do? And in fact, it's the same photograph that is the photograph for my social media, where I'm like in a 3/4 profile and smiling as big as I ever did. Nice picture, actually. And I sent that picture in to be the role, to try and get the role as a bad guy, as a killer in a film. And here I am smiling like that. And your response was so sweet and funny. It was something to the effect of, John, I don't think this part will work for you with a smile like that, or something to that effect. And I had to laugh. I just had to laugh. Like, what was I thinking? Well, thank you.
And because it was just the way you wrote, and the picture that was literally sunshine coming into my inbox. Not that. Of course, you can have dark side. It was just very
Ask my kids.
Because I know that horrible story for that man, and I just looked at your picture, because you can read a lot about this thing.
I think so.
And that is so far away from this.
I had to laugh. And I'm like, what was I thinking, sending that kind of a picture in for that kind of a role?
That was lovely. I would love to be a killer. No, not this one. Not this.
No. Wrong guy, wrong role.
but another, no, you would be perfect for a lot of roles. But that particular guy, I just knew.
No, wasn't meant to be.
Don't go there.
Oh my gosh. And my wife just about fell over laughing at me. She's like, what were you thinking sending in that picture? Well, hey,
It's good. Yeah. Yeah.
had to
Why
try.
not? Yeah.
Now,
I think that's right. Yeah.
how, okay, you counsel or you coach actors. Do people approach you and they have nothing to do with the acting world? Maybe they are a business person, or maybe they're just an average Joe or Jane and they need some kind of guidance and motivation in their life. Do you get those kind of people in as clients as well?
Yeah. I don't advertise that largely. So it's because I work very intuitively. So I think it's a way of being careful with myself in a way.
Well, I would imagine I would imagine it'd be very easy to get burnt out as a coach because
Yeah.
you're taking a lot of, you have your own life and your own goals, your own burdens, but then you're willfully taking on this
And
unknown
I
basket
really,
of trauma or
yeah.
confusion or burdens of others. So you've got to pace
Or just
yourself.
a life that is personality that is so different that it's just I'd like to I always like to do things a bit slow, and I'm a very it takes me 30 minutes to get into cold water, literally one step at a time. And then I'm halfway I say no, I'm not gonna swim today, but anyway, it's I build myself very slowly, so I know I have uh, I am fully in whatever I do.
Yeah.
People can like or dislike or whatever, have opinions, but I need to know whatever I do, I honestly want to do it
Yeah.
to be, um, how do you say with integrity, I guess.
Well,
And
commitment. It's a true commitment.
commitment, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're in my room, that's a soul. That's a person. You
Yeah.
have no idea what that person is or child
Yeah.
has gone through or not gone through. How is it before they come and how is it when they leave? So whoever, if it's audition or coaching, the respect for the person in front of you and to, in a decent way as possible, be there, whatever they ask of you. If it's an audition or if it's coaching. And I get a lot of, I get a strong feeling quickly how I can communicate, how we hold the conversation.
Sure.
And it's, for me, and now it's been just very good people to work with people that has some creativity in them, or we are all creative, but
Yeah.
someone that is acknowledging that they have a creative side. They do not have to be actors or dancers or painters or whatever. They can be whoever they want to be, as long as, um, yeah, we are good, good
Yeah.
people communicating.
Well, let me ask you
Yeah.
this. How would you explain the difference between what you do as a coach as opposed to what a psychologist would do? Because now I understand coaching. I know people who do it. I've functioned in a certain capacity, without having a coaching education or certification. I've functioned in that capacity quite often. So I know the difference, but the average person who needs some type of counseling, some type of guidance, and they're trying to figure out, should they go to a psychologist or should they go to a coach? How do you explain the difference?
I think he's a psychologist, but he's also a coach that I really think says that very perfectly. You go to psychologist, it's therapy. I mean, you go there for therapy. You go there someone that really have that chunk of education. When you go to a coach, we have a conversation and it's about clarity.
Yeah.
And he says that he finds that people very often need more clarity than actually therapy.
I see.
Because it's very, you can feel it in your life. I need therapy. I need help. I need someone that can just hold me in this, if you know what I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
and give me, this is big. This is, it, you feel it in your body. And then there is this, uh, you go to a coach and you start a conversation and you hold it. You can hold it for years, and it's there to just with move you in your life, if you
right.
know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's you getting clarity on my next move. Why is this keep happening to me? Or I don't get it. I feel whatever, and you want someone who has trained themselves to listen and to not always be what the friend is, if you know what I mean.
yes, yeah,
That what to, okay, let's just keep this friendship going. So I'm not going to say anything. But my job is to actually say something in the most compassionate way.
yeah,
But you will hear something, and then you said something there, and what is that actually? And
yeah,
that's usually where the shoe is
yeah.
not comfortable on your foot, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
I do.
I
Yeah.
don't remember the expression. So it's clarity.
So it's the
For me, it is. For me, it is clarity. It is. Ah, and you just.
but isn't a
I just talk to
psychologist
me.
isn't a psychologist also part of their thing? Isn't that also to give clarity on certain life situations for the client?
Topics and absolutely, but again, it's also therapy. It's. If you know what I mean, I just want to make that really. It's not therapy. I'm
Right.
not gonna diagnose you. I'm not gonna.
And
You
there you
know
go.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
There's
It's
nothing
not.
medical about being a coach, whereas there is
Nothing.
a
No.
medical aspect, meaning you're going to find out the reason, you're going to find a solution, and you're going to treat, not treat, and I use air quotes when I say treat, but you're going to try and bring about a
I'm not going to
concrete
treat
change.
anyone.
Yeah,
No.
coaching is not
And
that. Yeah,
no. And it's also my job to listen in the conversation and say, you know what? I think that I must. This is. You need someone that has that can help you, not to put you into
yeah,
therapy, but that has that medical background or
yeah.
the understanding of that medical background that you're gonna need, because there can be a scratch on the surface and
Yeah,
there's going to be a Pandora box here when you start to
yeah.
scratch, and you need someone else to hold you in that.
And
That's a
that's
whole different conversation,
and
if
that's
you
where
know.
the importance of intention and ethics come in. For a coach cannot be a scam. Where they may know that this person who's coming to them should actually be speaking with a psychologist, but they're going to keep that person as their client to keep the money coming
The
in.
money,
And
yeah,
unfortunately, there are some coaches
of
who do
course,
that,
yeah,
unfortunately. But an
of
ethical
course,
and well-meaning coach will refer that client further into the medical
absolutely,
system.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's also why I get that there's education for coaches, because that's part of your training to really, do you really get that? Do you really get where you're responsible and then you leave it to someone else,
But
and
there's
that you
people
don't.
there's people here in Norway though who call themselves coach. Also back home in the States, they'll call themselves a coach, but they don't have any type of formal education or certification. They may have relevant
Yes,
work experience or some sort of
yes, yes.
background in their life that qualifies. And what do you think of? I mean, is that an issue in the coaching community?
I'm quite sure it is, because it makes it, everyone can call themselves a coach, and
Yeah, it's not a
unless
protected title. You don't have to have a degree on the
no, it's
wall.
not a protective title, and that will always be a problem. There's a good thing that not everybody can call themselves a doctor.
Yeah,
It's always, always good that a title is protected, that you have to have some sort of training,
Mm.
and because we live in this world where there are good guys and bad guys, and
Yes.
that's just how it is.
Yeah, there's people
And
who squeeze people for a lot of money. There's people who manipulate people through coaching.
yeah,
So you got to be careful if you're looking for a coach. You've really got to be. And I'm not saying that a coach who doesn't have some sort of diploma or certification hanging on the wall cannot be a good ethical coach, because they can be. But
they can be talented,
absolutely,
really, really talented.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think people just need to be aware. People just need to be careful. They need to protect themselves.
I think it's everywhere.
Yeah.
We have to stop to we have to stop not listening to ourselves, because usually when you meet someone you get a feeling of
Yeah.
something here.
Yeah.
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 And really feel do, and it's like someone, he's a coach again, who is how why did he not listen to himself? He had a gardener, and after years, it just, my garden is getting worse. Why am I not firing this person? He just wrote it. I remember reading it, and it was about not listening to yourself. It's, why am I paying this person and feeling responsible for, I can't fire him, he loses his paycheck, but he's actually making my garden worse. And it goes with everything. Are you really getting better here? Are you really feeling better here? Am I hanging on to whatever in my life
I wonder.
just because it's?
I wonder what makes people stay in that circle of a worsening situation.
Yeah, not moving.
Yeah, but they'll stay. They'll stick with that gardener, until their grass is totally brown and gone.
Yeah.
They'll stick with it even as they're experiencing the deterioration in their life. They'll still stick in that. What is that makes people do that?
Sometimes it's money, it's comfort, it's image, it's who am I to think that I can do better?
Yeah.
What voice is in your head? Everything. Think about it. How life is here. Everything is here. How a lot of my coaching, because that's been important for me, is to stop, to really not pay attention to what goes on, and really pay attention to how do actually I feel. What do I actually know is my truth?
Yeah.
What is truth for me? What is important for me? How do I want to move in the world? I am not in a box. It has cost me a lot to you know what, this is not okay, and I'm moving in another direction. This I don't want to be part of. I'm moving literally to another environment. Yeah. But you have to be willing to be looked at differently.
Yeah.
And maybe, do you know what I mean?
I do, absolutely.
Look at Instagram and Facebook. Everybody has their, what do you call, tabloid.
Yes.
Everybody, if everybody, you make your page different, according to your personality. But we live in an era where everybody kind of makes their Insta or Facebook page as their own little tabloid.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Why do you need that? You are this incredible human being with your incredible signature, your personality that no one else has, your story, whatever makes you function, how you put together. Why not use that page to inspire me?
Well,
to I don't need to see your food. Who are you?
I see a lot of people, and people can do as they wish, but it's just an observation that I've had up through the years on social media. There's some people who use their Facebook or their Instagram or whatever to hide aspects of themselves. And then there's other people who use it to promote certain aspects of themselves. And then there's people who just make it the reality of who they are. And I guess I can see benefits, I can see reasons, and I can understand explanations for using social media in just about any way one chooses. If you're a so-called Instagram model and you're putting up photos of yourself wearing a bikini, and through that you're getting sponsorship and all kinds of money, yes, there's a certain falsehood, to putting up, airbrushed photos of yourself in a bikini. There's a certain falsehood to that, but there's quite a tangible positive result in that some of these Instagram models are getting paid thousands of dollars a month through sponsorships and whatnot. So you'll have people who will they'll point a finger and call out the negativity of these Instagram models. But how do they know if that Instagram model is a woman who is tormented and is trying to hide something or cover up that torment by putting those kind of photos? Or how do they know it's not a very well-grounded, maybe she's a married woman with 3 kids and she's just making her money? How do you know? So there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of nuance, there's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of free-form interpretation of what we see on social media. I don't know whether social media is good or bad. I don't know. I know what I use it for, but I can't be a person who says Instagram is such a horrible negative thing, because it is, but also it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I made it into my inspirational page.
Exactly.
I will look at it. Every day, actually, I go through and I just, that was lovely put, or a picture that's just wonderful, inspires me. It's just, I don't have anyone there that is just selling me an image. I have my, it's you. I don't know. That's just me. You just feel the energy.
Yes.
When you quickly, you will see. Oh no, I think I'm not
I guess a person can choose what they want to see on social media. I see those positive things that you're talking about. I see the inspiration. I see the beauty. I see the humor. There's some funny stuff out there. But then when I see the ugliness, you can block that person or unfriend them, so-called unfriend them, or you can not follow that certain Facebook page.
You just make sure that, because think about how many people that would not have gotten. What do you call it? A platform that has such incredible things they can share, and that's how we are. It's so easy to be empowered if you just have a direction in you. If you really just dare to listen, what actually empowers me, what inspires me, what do I want to, and who do I want to follow, and just make sure I always click like just to inspire them.
Yes.
Just to make sure that we see you.
I have to laugh. I have to laugh a little bit, because that's one thing I'm struggling with right now. My podcast has been on the major podcast platforms for about 16 months now, 17 months. And I'm doing quite well over there, but I've tried to, as of January this year, I started the video aspect on YouTube. And people are listening to my podcast, but they're not watching it. So I'm getting that thumbs up on the one platform, but I'm getting no response on the other. So it's a duality of response. So when you talk about someone, just like you just click like, just so that person knows that. And I think that feedback thing, because again, when you're doing work online like that, when you're doing work through social media, if nobody responds, you have no proof, you have no validation that the work you're putting out there means something for somebody.
Right, because it's like a mini performance. I have thought about that many times, that should I pay attention to that or should I not? How is it
What do you think?
Me? I started to change a little. Oh, I'm doing. No, I'm not. You get like, I thought this is good. but no. And then I just thought, well, that's a test, isn't it?
Well, it is a test because it'll test your resolve. It will test your resolve.
Yeah, yeah, because it will. So, can you only be in integrity and stand up for yourself if you get likes? Though? You know
Well,
what
exactly.
I mean? And I thought, no, I'm not that person.
Exactly. If you truly believe in what you're doing, you'll still put it out there. I know a guy, I don't want to name his name because I don't want to embarrass him, but he's a highly educated person. He's an entrepreneur. He's traveled the world, and he's doing fantastic work. And he's put a lot of content out on Instagram and on YouTube, videos. Videos that are like 10 minutes or less with very good information, motivational information. But he hasn't gotten that following. He hasn't gotten that response. And he's put out dozens, if not over hundreds of videos. And he's still doing it, even though that that like or the comments are not there. And to me, he is the perfect example of resolve, the perfect example of true passion for what he's doing. Because, again, very little response, very little feedback, but he's still doing it. Daily,
and that's exactly the thing. So you keep knocking the door, please open, give me a job. Okay, I'll go and change a little, and then I knock again. You must not do that.
You have to stay true to yourself.
You have to stay true, and you have to, if he really feels this is, and as you said, he what he does is really good quality work. Just continue, and then one day it will there's just something. Sometimes I think there's a reason why we have to wait. For me, in my life, I needed to catch up. I needed to catch up with myself to do whatever I'm doing or speaking whatever I'm speaking, because it's like with actors. Some actors say, why didn't they get job in the 30s? Because your emotional age and your chronological age, it doesn't always match. So sometimes you need to wait for the chronological age to match up with your emotional age, because the screen sees it that it's not really matching. A lot of you see some people that they go into their 40s, the 50s, and suddenly they start to work, or someone works a lot in their 20s, but they're not working that much anymore. And it's just, it needs to be totally in sync. And I think that in everything, whatever I would like to do, my desires, passion, my experience, my input of education, it all has to match up to the different the results I want in what I'm doing. And it's not just everything, there you go.
Again, it's about thinking long term. It's about holding on to your beliefs. It's about believing in yourself, and then eventually, I don't want to say eventually the opportunity will come, because it involves a certain amount of active, it involves a certain amount of action in order to find or sometimes create opportunities for oneself. But again, it's about thinking long term and just holding on to what you believe in and hold on to who you are, and then things will happen.
And really, in some work we are doing, you really need to have roots to stand there.
Yes.
If it's, because if it's negativity, you hang on, or if it's positivity, don't be all, lose yourself and only work on the red carpet. You really have to have roots to keep integrity. And sometimes the delay might be about roots, or you're not there quite yet in your work, but very soon. And when you're there in your work, you're ready to whatever.
No fortress is going to stand without a strong foundation. So got to have the roots.
You have to have the roots.
Listen, I want to ask you a couple of questions as we close this out, and as the police are coming.
They're coming for me. They were listening.
I've been listening to the birds chirping in the background and stuff, and then and it has been such a beautiful background. Then all of a sudden, here comes a police siren. I want to ask you two questions, or I'd like to have you do two things for me as we wind this up. I want you to answer a question or fill in the blanks on a sentence, okay? And here comes the sentence. Merete Vold is...
Oh, God. Wait.
Totally unprepared. I love it. I love it. Here's that truth. Here's that truth and foundation we were talking about. Here it comes.
Say it again.
Merete Vold is...
Just a human being. That's
just
all
a
I can
human
think of.
being. And isn't that beautiful enough?
I don't, yeah, it's just, wait, I'm just a human being, and that's it. I don't want to be anything more than the best version of a human being I am capable of being, period. And that's it. With the birds in the background.
You know what? That is such a simple and straightforward sentence, but it's powerful. Powerful. So the powerful Merete Vold. So thank you for that. Now let me ask you this. Can you give me one statement that my viewers and listeners and I can carry over the next day, over the next few days, and feel positive about? Can you say something that will potentially lift us up?
It's not from me. It's again from this coach, Robert Holden. And he says, if there's something missing from your life, it's probably you.
If there's something missing from your life, it's probably you.
More of you.
Yes.
So how can you fill your life with more?
More you.
What are you holding back? What are you keeping, away? What are you not being, doing, living, loving?
Wow,
how can you be more?
That's beautiful.
I think that's wonderful, and I have it over my desk at work to remind myself.
Well, there you go. That reinforcement, that visual reinforcement, right there where you're working.
When you, because in the end of the day, you're like, it depends on the day, and okay. So this is a perfect time when I go home to do more of what I love or what would fill me up again.
Yeah.
And because we keep holding us back. You started with that, I think. We are the one that stops ourselves. We are the one that's in our own way. And it's not just slogans. It really.
Well, there's some truth in that.
It's so.
There's not that.
Curious.
There's not so
really
many.
Know it's true.
There's not so many obstacles to a successful life out there. Most of that is within us. We are the ones, as you say, who get. We talked about it to start this whole episode. We get in our own way. Very often, we are our own worst critics. So the solution is to just overcome that. Stop getting in your own way.
Yeah.
More you, please. Yeah.
Because you think you go-to thing is, okay, I need to adjust. I need to change something. No, you have not been clear about who you are. You have not been clear about what makes you creative. Because when you're in a creative flow, things happen and your surroundings starts to move accordingly.
Yeah.
And so you just really
so true.
Need to know you need to really be there for you constantly.
That's so
and
true.
Have your own back.
I feel like I'm getting a free coaching session now.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Listen.
So that's also coaching. It's not therapy. So
yeah, there you go. No therapy here. Coaching, free coaching. Listen, Merete, I have enjoyed this conversation. It's just as much fun as I thought it would be, and I'm leaving this conversation being a little wiser and a little more confident. And I want to thank you for sharing some beautiful words and some beautiful thoughts for me and my viewers and listeners to take with us as we navigate through these obstacles. Some of these obstacles self-created, but as we navigate the obstacles of life, I think some of these things that we've talked about today might make that navigation a little bit easier.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There she is, Merete Vold, everybody. Bye now. Okay.